Hello everybody, today we're going to be taking a look at this Heath Zenith 70 watt high pressure sodium area light. I picked this up recently at the thrift store for $11 and it's brand new in box as far as I can tell. I did go through it to make sure everything is in there and it does appear that everything is present. So I went ahead and picked it up and here it is, ready to be shared with all of you. So on the front of the packaging here, naturally, we have a picture of the fixture itself. It is nice that it's kind of generic. You don't have all these advertisements of great things it can do and, you know, pictures of people and stuff. Like, it's just right to the point. This is what you're getting, and that's about it. Obviously, 70 watt high pressure sodium, dusk to dawn. It has a photocell after all. I do find this sticker here kind of funny. It's just printed on, but it looks like a sticker. On the side, the same information that was on the front. On the back, just more of the same kind of information about the construction and photocell and bulb and whatnot. Hey, you can find this video on YouTube. Say, that's where you're watching this right now. And here's the other side, same as the front, I'm sure, so you can stack it any way you want in your store. And the front or the top, excuse me, of the packaging. Take a look at the bottom here. That's upside down, so we'll turn it around. There we go. Heath Company, made in China. It says 2012. I wonder if that's when it was made about, or when the packaging was last revised. Okay, inside we have our instructions here, and a really nice expanded view of the fixture, just so you can see where everything goes. That's nice. Inside we have a more expanded view of the innards. And hey, look, we get a schematic. That's nice to have. I mean, at least if you do something to it, you know how to wire it back up. Or if you need to replace a part, you know, that's not a common thing on consumer goods nowadays, but here it is. And I don't think I've ever seen a fixture, a consumer grade one, that is, come with a, you know, little schematic on how to wire it. That's pretty cool. Naturally, we have a couple different languages here, so that's helpful. And it appears that we have a mounting template here. That's also very handy. You don't have to make one yourself or be up on a pole somewhere trying to figure it out. You can just use this. A nice inclusion. Okay, inside the box, take off that cover, and we'll start with the refractor here. So the first thing that comes to my mind is it's squeaky. I'm sure it's just how they, you know, attached it to the reflector up here. The refractor is also very thin, like incredibly so. It is maybe a millimeter or two. It is not thick at all. I don't know, I guess I'd give it more than that, maybe like 3 millimeters, but it is not too, you know, it's quite rigid. And of course the aluminum top here is quite thin, but not too bad. Overall, okay, but still very cheaply made, you can tell. Okay, bringing the box back over, we have the bulb itself. Set that aside. The photocell. Mounting hardware. And of course, in the bottom, we have, I'm going to set this to the side, fixture itself. I don't think there's anything else down there, so I'm going to move this out of the way. Oh boy, look at that. Did somebody say, hey, I need a giant sticker on my fixture? Well, we got you covered. Here's the biggest sticker you've ever seen. Boy, that's ridiculous. Oh my goodness, there's even one on the front. Well, you won't mistake its brand name. I mean, it's right there. It's probably good, you know, they tell you what kind of lamp, but I mean, there's ones in the past that'll put it up in the refractor itself, so it's not so, you know, right on the front in your face. Goodness gracious. And I'm sure if you tried to take this off, it'll leave like all the residue behind you've ever thought of in your life, because I've tried on some of these before and it's just terrible. Okay, inside, of course, we have our ballast, our medium base socket, and our igniter right here. I wonder what kind of brand do we got. I think that says Caster, a pretty common brand for these consumer grade high intensity discharge lights. I'm sure that's what the igniter is there as well. We do have holes here to put in a mogul base socket if you so desire. And it looks like they are threaded. So it'd probably be quite easy to do. You might be able to use the same screws and put in a mogul socket. Of course, you'll have to make the hole here a little bigger to accommodate that. But that would be pretty neat. I did that to one of mine a long time ago. Not this particular brand. I think it was a Designer's Edge fixture or something like that. Of course, we have the UL sticker here. What does that say? 2008 on the sticker. But again, that could just be when, you know, that sticker was made or something. Was there a date on any of these? I don't necessarily see anything. Maybe there'll be a date on the ballast and stuff when we take it out. Okay, so there's our head. Let's go ahead and take a look at the photocell. I'm going to guess it's the same brand. Yep, Caster, same brand, a pretty typical kind of diffused clear photocell. That's pretty common. 112.0. What does that mean, like January of 2020? I'm not sure. Okay, and naturally we have our bulb here. Pretty generic packaging. I'm gonna guess it's one of those polar lights bulbs. Those come with a lot of generic, you know, high intensity discharge fixtures. Well, they just have a date down here. Oh, it's up here. Polar lights. Yep, sure enough. Made in China. Medium base. You know, it is nice that these bulbs from Polar Lights still have the little dimple on the top to help, you know, with vibration and holding the arc tube correctly and stuff. A lot of them I've noticed nowadays, especially the real cheap ones, or, well, you wouldn't think of GE as cheap, but nowadays it's kind of getting there, to be honest. I don't even think it has a thing at the top to hold it anymore. In fact, let's take a quick look. I have one up here sitting. Here's a newer GE bulb. Oh, it does. Okay, well, I'm wrong. But, oh my gosh. The base is already starting to come off. Kind of looks like a Phillips design to me, but it has the dimple at the top. I don't know. Just look at that quality. What in the world is that? Ridiculous. And these cardboard things used to be much more than just some stiff cardboard. I don't know. I think that was on sale or something someday. I wouldn't have paid $5 for that. Okay, so that's the bulb. Much better than that GE one, at least construction-wise. I'm going to guess this is some type of date code. I guess 2012, which would make sense with the rest of the dates that we've kind of seen here. So, I'm going to go ahead and start wiring this up. Let's do that. So before we start wiring this up, let's go ahead and take a look at what we got here for some components. So I'm going to go ahead and take out the ballast. Okay, so of course we have photocell socket down in there. We have our ballast. It is, of course, a Caster ballast. Does it have a date on it? I don't know how to read that down in the corner, but that's the information on it. And let's see here, our igniter, it just says igniter. I don't see a, you know what, let's take this screw off too. So here's the igniter. I don't see the name Caster on it, but it does have a similar style identifier down here in the corner, so I'm sure that's who made it. At least it's enclosed. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this back together. Okay, so we have all that put back together. I want to twist together our wires here. Now, I just got to find a cord. So I end up getting a lot of these cords at work. In fact, that's where I get all of my cords because we go through a lot of appliances. So might as well reuse them. They're in great shape and they just need to be a little cleaned up. Now this particular one here is for an LG, and it always has this little restraint on it, but it's not necessarily molded into the wire itself. It's just kind of on there really tight. So I kind of come along and just cut the thing off, and eventually it will come off, and you can use the cord without having this giant restraint on it. Now sometimes you might want that, and that's fine, but I don't particularly want it because it's kind of a waste of wire here. And the other nice thing about these appliance wires is that a lot of them will already be terminated here on the end of the ground, so you can put that right on the screw here, and you're already grounded. You're good to go. So this is still on here, so we'll get rid of the rest of it. Of course, when you're doing this, be very careful with whatever tool you're using to get rid of these restraints. But as you can see, with it gone, we just have very minimal marking of the wire itself. I bet the camera wasn't even focusing on any of that, so I apologize. So now I'm just going to clean up the wire here, and we'll start wiring it up. Okay, the wire's all cleaned up, and we don't need this connector here on the end anymore, so just get rid of that. Now we have this little ferrite core here. You can get rid of it if you want. I mean, not every cord has it on it. Of course, it's just to get rid of interference and stuff. Usually I'll get rid of it if the cord won't fit through the particular hole on the fixture. Here, I think we'll be fine, but you know what? Now that I think of it, it will need to go, unfortunately. And the easiest way to get rid of it is to just crush it. So, to do that, I like to put it in something because, I mean, it is going to make pieces, and there we go. But now we're still able to use the wire with its end on it, and it's perfectly fine, so we don't have to put a new end on it there. Not bad. If you're looking for wires like this, I'd recommend going to like a appliance recycler or something. Back home I used to do that, and they'd let you take them off. In fact, that was Sears. You know, Sears isn't really around much anymore. I think there's like 18 locations or something left. So, yeah, I'm sure there's somewhere else that's recycling appliances if you're looking for these heavier wires for free. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at the mounting here. Boy, is that a flimsy bag. Okay, so we don't need none of that. I'm sure these are to bolt this on. These are for, not entirely sure what. These are to mount it on the wall, but we're not going to be doing that. Wire nuts, and of course our grounding screw. That would go right here, but we're not necessarily putting on the grounding there since I have such a nice ground wire. I'm just going to put it on one of these in here so you don't have to look at it. Now you can have the wire come out the back here or on the bottom, and usually I have it come out the bottom because that's just makes more sense to me. I guess you could have it come out the back and just bend straight down, but we'll have it come out the bottom. And to get these out, you just kind of bend them back and forth. I use these, there we go, needle nose pliers, work great. Now we just need a cord restraint to put on here. Of course, when you do as many random projects like I do, you have a huge container of these things. Now this is not outdoor grade, so you know you'd have to use the correct thing for that, but I like these particular ones just for use in the collection here. So we'll use one of these pretty standard looking things. And put that on here. And put this back on. Well, once I get it to not cross thread, we will get it back on. Oh, I haven't had such a problem with this in a while. There we go. And we'll get that put on there. Now if you do this a certain way, kind of line it up past where you want it to be, you can get it into place where it's tight. And if it still isn't, I like to make sure that it is. So you can take some pliers or something and just get it nice and snug, because you don't want it rotating or whatnot. Okay, so there's our restraint. We take our wires and go through here. There we go. That looks nice, don't it? Okay, let me move this light again. Now, naturally, we need to strip these wires so we can connect them. It's probably like 14 gauge or something. You get used to it after a while, and you know what size you're working with. Oops. There we go. You don't want it to be too short, you don't want it to be too long. I'm always kind of looking for something about this length, because I don't like anything sticking out of the wire nut, and you don't want that to be happening. That is not safe. So, let's see here. I'm going to move all this stuff so hopefully you can get a better view here of what we're doing. And of course, the two black wires go together. You want to make sure you got this in line, or else you're going to have to undo everything here in a minute. So these two get twisted together. We'll take our wire nut, put that on there. Now you want to twist the wire nut until you see the wire starting to twist there. That's how you know that it's all in. And I give it a little tug, just to, you know, to make sure it's not going to come out. You don't want it to come out. We'll do the same thing over here. There we go. Put our wire nut on. Again, make sure it twists a little bit there. Give a little tug, make sure it's not coming out. Okay, great. Now, normally we put our ground wire here if we had that, but this is our ground wire, and I'm going to put it on one of these things because we just have so long of a wire. Might as well use a screw hole that's already existent, or that's already holding something, I guess you could say. Let's see here, we're having a bit of a struggle getting it out. Let's hope that fits. Ooh, just barely. And we'll get that back down in there. The nice thing now is that you have something to hold the screw. Okay, so that's good. Now obviously we have a whole bunch of excess wire here, and you could just, you know, bundle it up in this area. You know what? I just messed something up. Can you tell what I messed up? You probably can't see it. This is what I messed up. The wire should go through here. Well, you know what? We're going to resolve that problem here real fast. And, oops. Wow, that was loud for no reason. I apologize for that. And, yeah, the wire should have gone through here. Now, usually this is not like this, just straight. I don't know particularly why they decided to do that here. But we're just going to get rid of it. And that solved our problem. Now, one thing that we will do, just to be safe about it, because this is sharp, and we don't want the wires to get cut or ourselves, I'm going to put some electrical tape on here. Just want to get, you know, however long it needs to be, and cut that off. Okay, and then we'll just fold that over. Give it a little bit there on the end. There. Now, none of the wires will be hurt by the edge there. And we don't have to worry about that ridiculous thing. So we'll get rid of that. Put our tools away when we're done with them, so we don't have just tools sitting everywhere. Got to keep the work area clean. And now we just get to put it together. So we're going to put this right towards the end here so that we can get the maximum amount of wire coming out the end here. I'm just gonna tighten it up. You don't want to over tighten it. You just want it snug enough that your wire's not going to come out. And then usually I just take all these wires and shove them down in here with the rest of them. Now, is that elegant? No, but it gets them out of the way. Boy, I don't know what this wire's doing. Okay, so when we're all said and done, it's going to look like this. You can see the wires coming out in there. And as far as I can tell by what they provided to us here, these are going to hold this cover on. And now here's where you think I should have, taken this apart before doing that. Now, the old Regent Cooper lighting ones used to have a separate area to attach this, so you didn't have to do this ridiculousness. I'm going to put the head of the screw up top here because I feel that, if it's not going to be outside, but rain or anything. You know what? This doesn't even fit up here all the way. Look at this. The washer's too big for it to sit down completely. Why'd they give me two washers then? Is one a different size? No, they're the same size. Can it just sit up there without it? Yeah. I guess we'll just do that. Well, they definitely didn't test that out before putting it together. Okay, then we have our tiny little nut here. Now, it's probably all just regular, like not stainless or anything, so unfortunately, it's probably going to rust, which is annoying. Oh, there we go. That's a great washer right there. Yep. That one might actually fit up top because it has that little notch in it. It does. Okay, then I guess we'll use it. Yep. And we got to put our little nut on there. Just going to kind of hold the nut and tighten it up on the other side. Okay, that's very small. I'm sure I have a proper wrench for that, but this works equally as well. So we're just going to hold it there and snug it up. Again, don't need it too tight. Might ruin something. And there we go. There is our, well, it's not a NEMA head, but part of the fixture here, all wired up. And naturally, with these two screws left, you can tell what they're for at this point anyway. They're to hold the refractor on. So I suppose let's do that. So here's our refractor again. And it looks like you can put in the screws beforehand, and then they'll just slide into place there. So let's go ahead and try that, because that's a nice feature. A lot of the older ones, you have to kind of line it up the best you can before you can put these screws in. So let's just get them in a ways, because we don't need it out, super far. We just need it enough to slide the refractor over. Okay, and there's not really a front or back to it. The old Electropack and American Electric fixtures had a little bump here in the back, and that had to be put on the back. Now, you wouldn't believe how many fixtures I see where they put it on the front. It looks ridiculous. But, yeah, that would go on the back of the fixture. So, let's take a look here. And I'm just going to line that up and twist it into place. Needs some persuasion. There we go. And there we go. So now, just need to tighten those up. And it is important that you do tighten them all the way, because I've seen a lot of these fixtures where they're not tightened and then the refractor falls off and it's just sitting on the bulb for the rest of its life. Because who's going to get up there and fix that? There we go. Hey, we got ourselves an area light. Now, we just need to put our photocell socket on. photocell socket. No, the photocell itself. So, there's some type of residue or something there. We have our bigger prong here. That's where that'll go. Set that on there, and it'll twist lock into place. Now you can position the photocell socket by simply loosening the screw here and adjusting this arrow. You want the arrow to face north, so you can kind of twist it. The other thing that I do, and you want to make sure you do not have power to the fixture, is kind of just take a screwdriver here and position it where you want it to be. I usually just point it straight out from the fixture because you're going to have the building here on the other side if that's how you're mounting it. And we'll just snug that screw back up. Well, that's still facing the wrong way, so they really got that one good. But anyway, the last piece of resistance, the bulb itself. So there's our polar lights bulb. And it's going to look ridiculous in this big housing, but here we go. Yep, there's our bulb. That just looks so funny compared to a mercury vapor bulb that would be in the same style of fixture. Okay, so there we have the fixture all put together, minus installing it wherever it's going to be, you know, sitting for the rest of its life. But let's go ahead and turn it on. Okay, so I got the fixture temporarily set up here, and at least then we'll get a little bit of light distribution on the ground, I suppose. So let me go ahead and turn off the lights, and we'll turn it on. Here we go, in 3, 2, 1. Boy, is it quiet. I'm real surprised, to be honest, but I suppose it is brand new. Now obviously you can tell it looks kind of funny with the bulb all the way up here in the fixture versus the mercury vapor arc tube being about here in the middle. But I suppose that also helps put more light downward than outward. Naturally, we'll let it warm up. Well, I would say we're certainly at full brightness now, so let's go ahead and take a look at the light distribution. With the pole blocking most of the light here, you get a better view of everything, I suppose. Doesn't light up much above it, other than, of course, reflections of just stuff. But that's good. Most of the light should be down on the ground. That's where you want it. You don't want it up in the air. And the bulb itself. Not bad at all. Lights everything up real nice. Gotta watch the cool down. Looks like a little neon glowing in there. Not growing, glowing. Gotta pronounce words today. I hope you enjoyed this video going over the Heath Zenith 70 watt high pressure sodium area light, exploring its insides, putting it together, and turning it on. Once again, I do hope you enjoyed, and also please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching.